Welcome back, neighbor. We are jumping straight into part 2 of our 4-part Q&A series for Mary Alice Monroe's The Summer Girls, breaking down the official Simon & Schuster reading group guide for the Sound of May reading challenge. Once again, we are anchoring our literary deep dive to the absolute sunshine pop energy of LFO's Summer Girls. Today, we are shifting into some heavy territory: generational trauma, addiction, and the secrets we keep to protect ourselves. To bridge that gap, our anchor lyric for today is, "You're the best girl that I ever did see. Lay out in the sun till my skin turns brown." Because the women of Seabreeze are trying to just lay out in the sun and have a relaxing vacation. But the harsh light of a South Carolina summer is about to expose every single thing that they try to hide in the dark. Let's get into discussion question number 5. Our first question for today asks, Dora has not been open with her family concerning Nate's autism. Do you think that this was a decision on Nora's part or simply benign silence? What would prompt this? Do you think her hesitancy was ultimately more helpful or more harmful for Nate? When you look at why Nora keeps her son Nate's autism completely to herself, it's pretty clear that this isn't just accidental benign silence. It's a deeply protective, layered defense mechanism driven by a few distinct things. First, there's a heavy dose of shame and immense fear of outside judgment. Dora operates under an immense internalized pressure to always appear perfect. She is the stereotypical put-together Southern woman. On top of that, she's dealing with pure exhaustion. She's been operating in survival mode for a very long time, mostly on her own, even though she is married. And finally, you have to look at old-fashioned Southern cultural norms around privacy. In that world, you don't air your family struggles out on the porch for the neighbors to see. But while her intentions are protective, the reality is that her silence actively delays, the very support systems that could actually help Nate. By keeping her sisters and her grandmother in the dark, she cuts off the resources and the village that she clearly desperately needs. So ultimately, her hesitancy ends up being more harmful than helpful, proving that keeping secrets to protect people usually just isolates them instead. Next up is question 6. Discuss how Parker's legacy affected his mother and each of his 3 daughters. Well, the negative sides of his alcoholism and abandonment are pretty obvious. But can you identify any positive effects of his actions? Talk about a dark shadow over a sunny beach read. The sister's late father, Parker Muir, is essentially the ghost haunting over the entire narrative ecosystem of Seabreeze. The negative effects of his legacy are glaringly obvious. He left his daughters with deep abandonment issues, the complex trauma of dealing with an active addiction, a baseline of emotional instability that they're all still trying to unpack even as an adult women. But the guide asks a really challenging question here. Are there any unexpected positive effects? And if you look closely at the text, yes, they are. Because of the chaos Parker caused, it forced a fierce, unshakable resilience into these 3 sisters. It gave them a unique ability to empathize with other people's pain because they've been through the fire themselves. For Marietta, his mother, I think his instability cemented her determination to be a rock solid stabilizing force for her granddaughters when their own parents failed them. And for Carson specifically, her father's abandonment is the reason she developed her profound connection to the ocean. The water became her escape, her sanctuary, and ultimately her place of healing. He gave them a broken foundation, but it forced them to build themselves back up incredibly strong. Our final question for today ties right into that. Carson and her grandmother were the two characters closest to Parker. How did Parker's actions impact Marietta and Carson's relationship with each other even after his death? Because Carson was the motherless girl who got unceremoniously dumped by Parker the most, she and Marietta developed a bond that is entirely unique compared to the other sisters. But Parker's constant instability made their dynamic a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it made Marietta fiercely overprotective of Carson, sometimes to a fault. On the other hand, it made Carson more dependent on Marietta for her emotional grounding. When the rest of the world was shifting in sand, Marietta was the only solid ground she had. This makes their bond both incredibly loving and intensely strange. They share a deep mutual grief for the man Parker could have been, but they also share a profound mutual wound. Because they're so similar and because they carry the heaviest pieces of Parker's trauma, they frequently trigger each other. It creates a defense mechanism where they instantly get behind their shields when they should be talking, showing just how long the echoes of addiction can ring out in a family. That is a wrap on the heavy stuff for part 2. Let's clear the air and close things out the only way we know how, with a completely random LFO-style cultural breakdown. So, in honor of summer girls, sunscreen bottles, family meetings, cassette tapes on the dashboard, and eating pimento cheese sandwiches while arguing on the dock. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Dora was wrong for keeping Nate's diagnosis a secret? And can an abusive or absent parent actually leave behind any positive legacy? Let's talk about it. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss part 3, where we look at Marietta's biggest flaws, and I'll see you in the next video.